Hello, this is Broyar, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play for Farming Simulator 22 as we continue our Elmcreek start from scratch run here. About to make some more grass bales that we will obviously be turning into silage momentarily. Just letting that other mower guy get a little bit more of a head start, although I guess we can go ahead and do this row at the very least. Let's roll and see if we can get us a nice big old giant pile of grass here. Make it easier for us. So I'm still using the controller, by the way. I did buy a steering wheel. It's actually sitting right behind me. All set up and ready to go, but I tried it in the game, and I'll be honest, there are parts of it that are amazing, like way better than the controller, and specifically the driving, which is obviously what you would expect a steering wheel to be good at. It drives so incredibly smoothly. It's like it's a completely different game, quite frankly. Completely different game in the way it drives. But everything else about the game is terrible on the controller as far as I'm concerned. Like literally everything else. And so I think if this was a driving only game, I probably would still be using the steering wheel. But since there's so much other stuff that you need to do, you know, you've got to interact with your machinery. You've got to, you know, raise and lower certain parts of the machinery and stuff like that. Stuff like that you just can't do on the steering wheel. Plus the camera controls. I'm very disappointed that there's not a way to set up the camera to follow the direction that you're driving. So that way, when I'm using the steering wheel, I don't have to use the joystick to turn the camera around and stuff like that. I can just assume that it's always going to point in the direction that I'm driving, including reverse. If I reverse, it should turn around and face backwards, in my opinion. So because of that, I'm not going to be using the steering wheel. I'm still probably going to have, I'm glad I have the steering wheel. I'm going to use it for some other games I probably have, but I don't think I'll be using it for Farming Simulator. It's not fully supported, in my opinion. It's allowed. The way I see it is it's allowed in the game because they technically allow you to have a steering wheel, but they don't necessarily support it in the sense that it's like, hey, we recognize you have a steering wheel. Here's all these cool things you can do with your steering wheel now. It just doesn't feel good, in my opinion. So I'm not gonna be using the steering wheel, unfortunately, but I tried it, and like I said, the driving part of it, so much better to drive with the steering wheel. But when you take into account that everything else is worse, and I can still technically drive with the controller, I'm just going to stick with the controller at this point. But at least I tried it. So I think it was worth trying. And yeah, so there you go. And like I said, I'll definitely be using it for any racing games or anything like that I play at some point in the future. Although I probably don't tend to feature those on my channel. I just usually play those on my own offline. I mean, if the camera thing was working, I might still be using the steering wheel and just use the controller for those moments when I can't do it with the steering wheel. You know, I just have the controller sitting in front of me. But having to pick up the controller every time I want to move the camera is not good at all. It doesn't work for me. So if you guys know a way to make the camera follow your directionality, like a lot of games do, there's a lot of games that do that, then by all means, please let me know what setting I'm missing. But other than that, yeah, it's just not good in my opinion, unfortunately. I wish it was better, but it is what it is. And maybe you guys have had better luck with the steering wheel. And if you have, more power to you, you know, that's good. There's nothing wrong with you guys having a different experience than I have. That's what opinion is all about, right? That guy make his way back, and then we'll do... I guess we'll probably have 2 more runs with the windrower. But we'll get it here in just a moment. Next, I can probably at least do this next run. Yeah, I would say that as good as the controller is to a keyboard, like steering this game on a keyboard, in my opinion, is just a nightmare. I would not be playing this game right now if I had to use the keyboard all the time. And some of you who do use the keyboard, more power to you. I cannot do it. It's just too slow, too just clunky. And the controller is just infinitely better. But where the controller is infinitely better than the keyboard on steering, the steering wheel is infinitely better than the controller on steering. It really is that good. It's just, like I said, everything else. What I was really hoping for, because I even bought the Xbox version of the, it's the G923 is the one. It's like the newest Logitech steering wheel they got. I bought the Xbox version one of it. You know, both the Xbox and the PS version, PlayStation version, I should say, hooked to a PC, right? So either way, I was going to get, you know, basically the same thing underneath. But I was hoping that with it being the Xbox version underneath, that it would just work with a lot of the controller settings that the Xbox controller had. It's just there's a couple things that it's just missing, and it's just obviously it doesn't have any of the joysticks. So again, the camera controls, that's where the camera controls would come from. A lot of the other buttons seem to work mostly okay, but just I don't know, it just was clunky, and maybe I just need to get used to it. But again, without the camera controls, I have no desire to get used to it in this game, at least, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Still pretty happy with the controller I have. I mean, I paid a lot of money for this controller. It's whatever the Xbox Elite controller is, whatever the most expensive Xbox controller you can get. And just because it's like, it's got all these like extra like settings for sensitivity, and you can change out the different keys and stuff like that to make them taller or shorter or different feels and stuff like that. I've got it, you know, configured basically how I want it to be, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's actually really, really good controller. Could I have done the same with a cheaper Xbox controller? Probably, but I'm gonna say not disappointed in what I've gotten from this. So pretty happy with it for the most part. And I could probably even still tweak in some of the settings of like the sensitivity and stuff like that to make the steering even better. I've kind of got the steering where I want it. I mean, it's a little jerky, but it works. And so I don't know if I want to mess with it too much more. Oh, wrong button. Too much more, because it does in fact work the way I need it to. All right, we are windrowed and ready to bale. We're actually going to use this tractor for baling, so let's just drive you over there. See if we drop some grass. Oh, it's not quite tall enough. A little bit of a bounce. All right, let's get you guys bailed up. Turn on automatic drop, lower pickup. At some point, I want to switch to square bales, just because I love the fact that you can just keep driving with the square baler. Keep on moving, it just spits it out at the end. What are we waiting for Brad? We're waiting for January, so we're still a ways away from that. I mean, don't get me wrong, having to stop every few seconds isn't too bad, because it does work relatively good and it goes pretty quick, but still a little bit better to have just continuous movement. Getting a lot of bales off of this, though. That's good. We need the money. By the way, I have talked about the steering wheel on a couple of my other series, but since I don't know if everybody watches every series, I'm just repeating myself a bit, because quite frankly, if anybody's got any device, I will gladly hear it. So if you happen to hear it repeated, the same story repeated multiple times, I apologize, or I also thank you for watching all my stuff, I guess. That's better, the way to better put it. We are getting a lot of bales. The frequency of bales here is really, really tight. This is nice. That's what you get for, what do we mow 3 times a windrow? It's a lot of grass. I will say I'm glad they turned on the automatic ejection here, because they didn't used to have that in 19, and it does make it go a lot easier than having to hit the buttons to open it up, close it up, move forward, you know, all this stuff. One, you know, a couple less steps that we have to do. And I can't quite turn quite right, can I? It's a little bit tighter of a turn than I was expecting. Oh, this, I get for driving too fast. Have any money stored up? And by stored up, I mean loan that we haven't taken out. It's a really weird way to look at it, I realize, but it's kind of like in real life. Huh. I guess I'm technically a millionaire. I just haven't taken that loan out yet, right? I mean, or the bank hasn't agreed to give me that loan because they're dumb. Okay, I probably could borrow enough money to have $1 million. Okay, it wouldn't take that much because once you add my house and my vehicles, I'm not that far off. That's the joys of living in a high cost of living area. Well, I'll say medium cost of living area. I don't live in New York or California, so I don't live in that level of cost of living, but I definitely live in a higher cost of living than a lot of other places. So it's, I would say probably middle, maybe above average, but still not near as high as some of those other places. So yes, unfortunately, you do have to take out a very expensive loan to pay for a house around here. But again, I don't think taking out a loan qualifies you as a millionaire. I think that's only once you paid off that house and you have that asset in your name, and then you could be like, all right, I have $1 million of equity, which I don't have $1 million home. That's not what I'm saying. It's just between the home and the cars and everything else. You know, it's a lot of debt. And that's how life works, unfortunately. I applaud the people that can live their life without debt, because kudos on to them. I would say the one benefit that I've learned, I have learned this the hard way. I used to be a dumb young kid, you know, that did whatever. Oh, you're going to give me enough money to buy this car that I can't afford? Yeah, sure, I'll sign on the dotted line. Big mistakes when I was a youngster. But in my older age, I've definitely learned to be more manageable with my debt. So even though I do have debt, like most everybody else, it's definitely much more manageable, which is good. That's the smart thing. I don't think debt's necessarily... I don't want to say it's bad. It's a means to an end. And really, the important thing is to learn how to manage it. Be able to manage your debt. If you can manage your debt appropriately, then I don't think anybody in the right, has the right to complain about whether you have it or not, because it's your choice if that's how you want to, go about it. Don't know if we'll get one more out of this. We might. I think we will. I think we'll get one more. Nice. Is this bought or leased? It is bought. So we can go ahead and gather this up and have it ready for the next cycle. Although, to be fair, if it was leased, I would probably gather it up anyway, just get it off the field, because we are going to be switching to different crop in a moment. That's a lot of bales. Wow. Well, we get to do the silage now, or the wrapping. Alrighty, here we go. The fun part. Well, semi-fun part. I like the wrapping. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of slow. All right, I want to get a little bit more of this done. I will come back here in a moment when we're a bit further along. All right, we are almost done here. Made pretty good progress. At some point, I might get me another bale wrapper, because you can actually, even with only one player playing, you can actually run both bale wrappers at the same time, which is kind of cool. Because when you swap vehicles, the wrapper still continues doing its job. So I can pull up, keep it wrapping, move over to the other vehicle, move up to another bale, kind of back and forth. This is a lot of bales, though. Hopefully be some good money for us. We need it. When's our barley going to be ready to... Okay, looks like one more month, right? Yeah, I think so. One more month, we'll get some barley, which will be nice. Get that extra field rolling. And what is it? Yeah, this month's the month we have to do the sorghum, so... We're almost out of gas in this vehicle. All right, let's pick up all of our bales, get those going, and then we got to start, guess cultivating, right? What? I'm actually gonna have you pick up the bales, so the other guy can be ready to cultivate. Okay, so by the way, I have done some math, which is always dangerous, and I have decided that mulching is not worth it. It is not worth mulching your fields. The 2.5% just does not add up to very much. And it actually is, when you think of 2.5%, it's actually not 2.5%. I talked about this in one of the other episodes, so again, if this is a repeat, I apologize, but it's actually 1.25%. Because you automatically get 100% of your yields. You're already getting 100%. Like, it's not like if you don't improve your fields, you get zero crop. You get 100% of your crop. It's the additional yield on top of that 100% is where the yield bonuses come in. And so you're not getting 2.5% crop from doing mulching. You're getting 1.25 because you're only getting the I know it probably doesn't make, because basically your target is 200%. If you had everything done, you'd be getting 200% yields. And when you take that into account, the mulching just is such a small amount. It's just not worth the time. Now, if there was a bigger mulcher, like a huge, like 12, 15, 18 yard mulcher or meter mulcher, well, then maybe fine. But with the biggest size being 6 meters, it is just not worth the time investment to mulch. Rolling is borderline. The only reason rolling might be okay is because of the really, really big roller you can get for really big fields. Because that's the thing. If it's not a big field, the only fields that mulching would be worth it for would be the really big fields. The problem there is, because the biggest mulcher is 6 meters, then you're taking forever to mulch a really big field. So then the time investment becomes no longer worth it. So it's either the time investments were worth it because you got a small field, but the money's not worth it, or the money's worth it, but the time investment's not. So it's really kind of, you know, it is what it is, right? But as far as rolling is concerned, you can get a really huge roller, a 24-meter roller, but unfortunately, it is extremely expensive. But even the 12-meter one, it's not bad, and so there is maybe a little bit more value in rolling, even though it's still not a lot. It's still probably at least sort of break even, pay for itself type of thing. And for the really big fields, it does still become worth it in the long run. And thankfully, there is a big enough roller to justify the big fields. But I could also see the argument of just not rolling at all either, because even though it might be semi worth it, nowhere near the value gain that you get from any other type of yield increase, right? Because fertilizing's what was it, 15%, something like that per stage, 30% total, is that right? Let me check. It is okay, so it's 22.5% per stage, 45% total. Weeding, 20%, easy to do. Liming, really easy to do. You don't have to do it very often. 15%, that's not bad. Plowing, again, 15% is not bad. You only have to do it every so often. It's just the mulching and the soil rolling. It's just, in my opinion, not worth it. Which is what it is. I mean, truth be told, I don't know if farmers always mulch. I mean, is that? I think there's certain activities they've included because it is technically a part of farming, you know, in some places, but I would not be surprised if it's not a part of farming in all places. You know, it's like, yeah, some people, plowing is pretty normal, right? You're going to plow pretty much everywhere. Any type of crop, everywhere you go. I mean, plowing or cultivating, that kind of stuff is pretty normal. Fertilizing, obviously, very normal. But the mulching and the rolling, maybe less so, you know? Guess I could have gotten the cultivator going out of the field. I was on a roll. Man, this thing is... That's a lot of... That's a lot of bales, guys. Guess we're going to thank our gas station buddy over here for letting us use his land again. Actually, is there a better place for me to stick this? Because I'm going to have to pick this back up at some point. Which is actually going to be pretty awkward. Honestly, I may stick it over here. I just needed to be able to wait a place that I can easily get to it with the trailer. Somewhere over here off to the side might be a little easier to get to with the trailer. Now, it is going to be in the way, and I have to kind of move around it, but I don't know. I feel like I could pick it up a little bit easier over on this side of things. The rest of these picked up, and then we will probably call it an episode there. Silage mostly done. Well, I say mostly. Still got to wait for it, but this time we will be waiting for it. Oh my goodness, still can't believe I did it that last time. But the waiting part is arguably the easy part, because you don't have to do anything. Besides, we're waiting for a good price anyway, right? Good price for silage is supposedly January, February. So we got a ways to wait. December is the second best. So we can definitely, if we're waiting for a good price anyway, then it will definitely be done by then. Can you, okay, here's a question, and I don't remember, because I have only done, as far as I know, I've only done corn in a bunker silo. Can you just use the mown grass in a bunker silo? Or does it have to go through the whole forage harvester thing? Or can you even use grass at all in the bunker silo? I actually don't know. I'm not sure if I've tried it, come to think of it. Because obviously a bunker silo would just be a lot more efficient. Oh, I'm gonna hit it. Oh, I was close. I get this tractor repaired as well. One of these days, this guy's actually going to have some business, and I'm not going to be able to park here anymore, but poor guy, just hasn't been any time recently. All right, so that is that. Now to get the cultivating done. So the cultivator we have, I bought it specifically because it was the same size as the mulcher, and I was trying to do double effort. And honestly, if I could still do double effort, I might still do the mulching, but it just doesn't work very well. So what I'm probably going to do is come in here. Actually, we're going to put a cut in the episode there. I'll come back. When we come back, new episode, I will go through what I'm about to do, which is probably get us a new cultivator or something like that. We will see. But I do appreciate you guys watching. May God bless you, and I hope you join me again next time. Thank you, and goodbye. I wanted to give a special shout out to the following channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.